I was in the middle of using a personal device when the boy next door suddenly barged in. I awkwardly pulled the covers over my head, thinking he wouldn't see me, but then a hand reached under my blanket. Ethan was 2 years older than me. We lived next door to each other and had been childhood friends since we were toddlers. But I never imagined there would come a day when he would catch me, hiding under the covers, playing with a vibrating toy that should never see the light of day. I didn't even know he was coming over. It wasn't until my bedroom door clicked open and his tall figure appeared in the doorway that the blood rushed to my head. Ah! I let out a short scream, my mind going blank. My only instinct was to yank the duvet over my head, covering myself. Completely doomed social death. I held my breath, praying he was just here to borrow a book, or that my mom had sent him to call me for dinner, that he would leave. In the next second, silence outside the duvet. However, the expected sound of the door closing didn't come. Instead, steady footsteps approached my bed, step by step. My heart beat so fast it felt like it would jump out of my throat. Then a warm, dry hand reached into my blanket without warning. Exclamation point. My whole body went rigid, toes curling against the sheets. I felt like I was going to faint from lack of oxygen. That hand had a clear target. It brushed precisely past my thigh and touched the little thing that was still vibrating slightly. Fingertips seemed to graze the skin of my thigh, sending a fatal shiver through me. Then he deftly removed it, and the vibration stopped abruptly. Ethan's low, calm voice came from outside the duvet. "Lily, why are you hiding under the covers? Mom asked me to call you for dinner." He paused. I could even imagine him examining the object in his hand. Then his voice sounded with a hint of imperceptible amusement. "What is this?" My brain buzzed. In a moment of desperation, I shouted through the blanket in a muffled voice. "A massage stick. My calf is cramping." Yes, a massage stick. Perfect excuse. I'm a genius. It was quiet outside for a moment. He seemed to be judging the authenticity of this statement. Then he gently tugged at the corner of my blanket, his tone unreadable. "Come out and eat, or do you need me to help you?" "Massage?" Sentence shot through my spine like an electric current. I clutched the duvet tightly, exposing only a pair of burning eyes, daring not look at him. Ethan stood by the bed, tall and straight, holding the massage stick in his hand, looking as composed as if he were examining a common tool. I can do it myself." My cheeks burned like fried eggs. My voice is small, as a mosquito's hum. He looked at me, a faint smile seemingly flitting across his deep eyes so fast I thought it was an illusion. He didn't continue the dangerous topic. Instead, he naturally and calmly put the little thing into his own pocket. "Your mom wants you downstairs for dinner," he repeated, his gaze sweeping over my still flushed face. He added flatly, "Lock the door next time you massage. With that, he didn't stay any longer. He turned and left my room, even thoughtfully closing the door behind him. I was left alone in the room with a heart about to explode. He took it. Why did he take my stuff and put it in his own pocket? That thing it might still have. I dared not think further, burying my burning face deep in my knees. Ethan, what does he mean? I spent 10 minutes mentally preparing myself in my room, before dawdling downstairs for dinner. At the dining table, my mom was enthusiastically serving Ethan food. "Ethan, eat more. If only Lily were as sensible as you, I'd worry less." Ethan smiled politely. "You're too kind, Auntie. Lily is great." He looked completely at ease, as if the dominant and ambiguous man in my room just now was a hallucination. This realization made my ears hot, and I buried my head even lower. My mom, oblivious, continued to chatter. "Ethan, you're an orthopedist, right?" "Right. Lily's been complaining about shoulder and neck pain from painting lately. She won't go to the hospital. You should talk to her." Ethan put down his chopsticks, his gaze seemingly inadvertently falling on me. His look was calm, yet it made me feel like I was sitting on pins and needles. The corners of his lips curved slightly, his tone warm and concerned. "Is that so? If your shoulder hurts?" Paused before continuing leisurely. "Just using a massage stick for local massage might not be effective. Enough." Cough. Cough cough. I choked on my rice, my whole face turning explosive red instantly. My mom quickly patted my back. "Child, why eat so fast?" She turned back to Ethan. "Exactly. I offered to buy her a neck massager, but she refused, saying she didn't need it." Smile in Ethan's eyes deepened. He looked at me meaningfully. Lily does have her own methods for relief. However, the tools might not be professional enough. Next time you're uncomfortable, just tell me directly." Every word was normal, but combined they were like bombs dropping in my ears. Was he hinting out? How much did he know this meal was torture? Every second was suffering. He chatted naturally with my parents, occasionally steering the topic to me. Eat. Each time precisely stepping on my nerve of shame. When he finally got up to leave, I almost collapsed in my chair, feeling like I had fought a tough battle that night. I lay in bed tossing and turning, the events of the day, and Ethan's meaningful words replayed in my mind. Shame, confusion, and an indescribable throb, entangled together. Compelled by some mysterious force, I grabbed my phone. Opened an anonymous forum and type a post with trembling fingers. Confession, my neighbor brother who is a doctor, caught me using a massage stick. He didn't expose me then, and even confiscated the toy. But he kept teasing me with words at the dinner table. I'm dying. Online waiting urgent. Not long after the post went up, notifications started pinging. A skyscraper of replies built up instantly. First waiting for updates. Wait sister, the point is the massage stick. Why didn't you dodge when you reached for it? That move itself is wild. Upster plus un. And he mentioned it at dinner. He's definitely doing it on purpose. It's too easy for a doctor to verify if you really had a cramp. He's just teasing you, enjoying your panic. This guy has high-level game. Just imagining it makes my toes curl. But honestly, why do I ship it? Calm and restrained. Neighbor brother BS. Socially dead childhood sweetheart. This plot is bestseller material. Suggest OP play along. Next time he mentions it, flirt back. Like the effect is indeed mediocre. Do you have a better recommendation, brother? Reading these replies, the heat on my face rose again. These medicines have sharp eyes. Her words were like keys trying to pry open my closed heart. Just then a reply quickly uploaded to the top jumped out. Sharp and to the point. What are you afraid of? He's clearly interested in you. Men know men's game's best. Attack directly. Just ask him, brother. You took my stuff. Do you want to demonstrate how to use it personally? Guaranteed he'll be more flustered than you. Boom. I felt all the blood rush to my head. This reply too bold. Too naked. It was like stripping my guilt and secret expectations. Bare under the sun. But a voice deep inside screamed, they're right. Ethan's behavior can't be explained by just being a brother. With trembling fingers, I liked that reply, as if injecting myself with a bit of lonely courage. The reply, attack directly planted a seed of rebellion in my heart, growing wildly overnight. The next day, I was restless all day holding a paintbrush. The lines I drew were messy. My mind was full of Ethan's calm face and that bold reply. Courage comes and goes quickly. By evening, that bit of courage was drowned by anxiety. I rolled around on the bed, hugging my pillow, wanting to retreat countless times, but thinking of his ease at the dinner table, as if everything was under his control. A refusal to admit defeat bubbled up again. Why am I the only one in chaos? Taking a deep breath, I jumped out of bed, changed out of my pajamas into a decent t-shirt and shorts, took a few deep breaths in front of the mirror, and then opened the door like I was marching to my death. The hallway was quiet. I stood at his door, raising and lowering my hand repeatedly, my heart beating like a rabbit. Finally, I closed my eyes, steeled my heart and rang the doorbell. Footsteps approached from inside, and the door opened, then stood at the door. He seemed to have just showered, his black hair wet, a few strands hanging unruly on his forehead. Less rigorous than during the day, more lazy and domestic. He wore a simple gray cotton t-shirt and lounge pants, smelling of fresh body wash. Seeing me, a clear surprise flashed in his eyes. Quickly returning to calm, he stepped aside. Lily, what's up? I came to get my stuff. I tried to make my voice sound righteous, but a slight tremor betrayed me. Stuff? He raised an eyebrow as if not reacting. It's what you took from me yesterday. That massage stick. The last two words were almost mumbled in my throat, my cheeks heating up uncontrollably. He realized the corner of his lip seeming to curve. He turned to walk inside. Come closed the door. I followed him into the study. This was the corner of his house I was most familiar with. Walls full of books, a neat desk, the air filled with the faint scent of books and his clean aura. He walked behind the desk, but didn't open the drawer immediately. Instead, he leaned leisurely against the edge of the desk, arms crossed, looking at me. Why the sudden rush to get it back? He asked, eyes calm, like inquiring about an illness. Cramping again. Cramping again? Ethan repeated, the syllabus of the words rolling off his tongue with agonizing slowness. I swallowed hard, the sound loud in the quiet study. Yes, it hurts. A lot. Ethan nodded slowly, his face expressionless. He pushed off the desk and took a step toward me. The distance between us shrank instantly. The scent of his cedarwood body wash, mixed with the humidity of his shower, enveloped me. As a doctor, I can't ignore a patient in pain, he said, his voice dropping an octave. Which leg? The right one. Left, I blurted out, then panic set in. I mean right. It moves. It moves, he echoed, a glint of humor finally breaking through his stoic mask. A traveling cramp. Rare medical phenomenon. He stopped right in front of me. He was too close. I had to tilt my head back to look at him. Up close, the water droplets on his collarbone were distracting. Sit, he commanded gently, pointing to the leather chair behind him. I just need the stick, I stammered, clutching the hem of my t-shirt. If it's a cramp, manual manipulation is far more effective than mechanical vibration, he stated matter-of-factly. Sit, Lily. Or do you want me to carry you? The threat, or was it an offer? Sent a jolt through my legs that actually did make them feel weak. I sat on the edge of the leather chair. Ethan knelt on one knee before me. The sight of him, the proud, tall Ethan, kneeling at my feet, made my breath hitch. He reached out, his warm palms encircling my left calf. His hands were large, his fingers strong and callus-free. Here, he asked, pressing his thumb into the muscle. I squeaked. It didn't hurt, but the sensation of his skin on mine was electric. The muscle tension seems normal, he murmured, his eyes focused on his work, not looking up. His hands glided up my calf, kneading the flesh with professional, rhythmic pressure. No nuts. No spasms. He looked up then. His eyes were dark, locking onto mine with a gravity that pinned me to the chair. You know, Lily, lying to a doctor complicates the treatment. My face was burning so hot I thought I might set off the fire sprinklers. I just want it back, Ethan. Please. He held my gaze for a second longer, then stood up effortlessly. He walked around the desk, opened the top drawer, and pulled out the pink silicone object. Seeing it in his hand, in the bright light of the study, was a fresh form of torture. He didn't hand it over immediately. He turned it over in his fingers. You said on the forum that I confiscated your toy. My heart stopped. Forum? What forum? Ethan leaned against the desk again, a devilish smirk playing on his lips. The one where you posted about your neighbor brother, and asked if you should attack directly. My soul left my body. You saw that? I was browsing. Saw a familiar story. Orthopedist neighbor. Dinner table teasing. It wasn't hard to decode, Lily. He took a step closer, holding the object out, but keeping it just out of reach. And that top comment. What did it suggest? Asking me for a demonstration. I wanted to dissolve into the floorboards. I wanted to turn into dust and be vacuumed up. Here, he said softly, suddenly dropping the teasing tone. He placed the device into my trembling hand. I grabbed it, clutching it to my chest like a lifeline. I'm leaving. Lily, he called out just as I turned. I froze. Next time, he said, his voice rougher, stripped of the amusement. Don't ask strangers on the internet what I'm thinking. Ask me. I didn't dare look back. I fled his apartment, the door clicking shut behind me, leaving me in the hallway gasping for air like a fish out of water. For the next 3 days, I lived like a hermit. I didn't go downstairs. I ordered takeout. I wore headphones constantly in case he knocked. The forum post was deleted. I nuked my account. But the damage was done. He knew. He knew I was flustered, he knew I was thinking about him romantically, and he knew I was soliciting advice on how to seduce him. On the 4th day, my mother broke my siege. Lily, open the door. Ethan is here to help fix the studio lights. I groaned, burying my face in my pillow. The overhead light in my painting studio had been flickering for weeks, but I hadn't expected my mother to outsource the labor to the man I was currently avoiding. I'm coming. I yelled, dragging myself out of bed. When I got to the studio, Ethan was already on a ladder. He was wearing a fitted black t-shirt that stretched across his back muscles as he reached up to the fixture. He looked competent, strong, and annoyingly attractive. Hold this, he said without looking down, extending a screwdriver. I took it silently. Pass me the pliers. I handed them up. You've been hiding, he said, his voice reverberating in the small room. I have been painting. Inspirate. I lied. By what? Shame. I poked his calf with the handle of the screwdriver. Shut up. He chuckled, a low rumble. He climbed down the ladder, wiping his hands on a rag. The light above flickered once, then shone steadily. Done. He looked at me. I was wearing an oversized smock covered in paint. I probably looked like a mess. Thanks, I muttered, avoiding his eyes. Your mom mentioned your neck is still hurting. It's fine. I brought you something. He walked over to his tool bag and pulled out a box. It wasn't a tool. It was a high-end, professional neck massager. Ethan, I can't take this. It's expensive. Consider it an apology, he said quietly. I looked up. For what? For teasing you too hard. I didn't mean to make you hide in your room for 3 days. He stepped closer, his expression softening. I bought this because it actually works. Unlike other methods. I felt the heat rise in my cheeks again, but this time, it wasn't just embarrassment. It was something else. He was caring for me. He noticed. Turn around, he instructed. Why? I want to show you the pressure points. If you use the machine wrong, you'll bruise. I hesitated, then turned my back to him. Ethan's hands landed on my shoulders. They were heavy, grounding. He moved my hair aside, his fingers brushing the sensitive skin of my nape. I shivered. Relax, he whispered. He began to press on the muscles connecting my neck and shoulders. It was clinical yet intimate. Here, he pressed a spot that made me gasp. This is where your tension is. When you use the machine, focus here. His breath fanned against my ear. He wasn't using the machine. He was using his hands. The friction generated heat that seemed to seep into my bloodstream. Does that feel better? He asked. Yes, I breathed, my eyes fluttering shut. Good. His hands lingered for a moment too long, his thumbs tracing the line of my spine. Then he pulled away. Keep the machine. Use it. He packed up his tools and left. I stood in the middle of my studio, the phantom sensation of his hands still burning on my skin. 2 weeks passed. The dynamic between us had shifted. It wasn't the awkward avoidance of the past, nor the purely platonic friendship of our childhood. It was a heavy, charged atmosphere. When our eyes met across the yard, there was a weight to it. Then came the night of the thunderstorm. It was a summer squall, violent and sudden. I was home alone. My parents were away on a trip. I was in the living room, sketching, when a crack of thunder shook the house so hard the windows rattled. Suddenly the power cut out. Pitch black. I wasn't terrified of the dark, but the sudden silence was unnerving. I fumbled for my phone to use the flashlight. Knock, knock, knock. I jumped, nearly dropping the phone. I crept to the door. Who is it? It's Ethan. Open up. I unlocked the door. Ethan stood there, drenched. He had evidently run across the gap between our houses in the rain. Power's out on the whole block, he said, shaking water from his hair. I saw your parents' car is gone. Didn't want you to be alone. I'm fine, I said, though my heart leaped at his presence. Come in, you're soaking. I found some candles and lit them, casting the living room in a flickering golden glow. Ethan dried off with a towel I threw him. We sat on the couch, the storm raging outside. The atmosphere was thick. Candlelight has a way of stripping away pretenses. So, Ethan started, looking at the shadows dancing on the wall. How's the painting coming along? Good. Preparing for the gallery showcase next month. I'll be there. You don't have to. It's boring art stuff. I want to be there. He turned to look at me. The flame reflected in his dark eyes. I want to see what you create. Silence stretched between us, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was magnetic. Lily, he said, his voice serious. About that night. Please, let's not. I pleaded quietly. I need to explain, he insisted. I didn't take it because I wanted to embarrass you. I took it because... He paused, looking for the words. Because seeing you like that, it short-circuited my brain. I stared at him. What? I've treated you like a little sister for 20 years, he admitted, running a hand through his damp hair. I forced myself to see you that way. But walking into that room, seeing you, it shattered that illusion. You're a woman, Lily. And I realized I haven't looked at you like a sister for a very long time. My heart hammered against my ribs. Ethan. When I teased you, it was childish. I was trying to provoke a reaction because I didn't know how to handle the shift in my own head. I wanted to know if you felt it too. If I was just the brother next door to you. Or if... He trailed off, leaving the question hanging in the humid air. Or if what? I whispered. He shifted, closing the distance between us on the couch. Or if you could see me as a man. The forum advice flashed in my mind. Attack directly. I took a deep breath, my courage fueled by the storm and the darkness. And if I do? Ethan's eyes widened slightly. He searched my face, looking for any sign of hesitation. Finding none, his gaze dropped to my lips. Then I'm in trouble, he murmured. Because I don't think I can go back to being just your neighbor. He leaned in slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. I didn't. I leaned forward to meet him. His lips were warm and firm. It wasn't a tentative first kiss. It was hungry, pent up, a release of years of unspoken tension. He tasted of rain and mint. My hands found their way into his damp hair, pulling him closer. He groaned low in his throat, his arm wrapping around my waist to pull me flush against him. The kiss deepened, becoming urgent. The massage stick incident seemed a lifetime ago, a silly catalyst for this overwhelming reality. Sunlight streamed through the window, waking me up. I was in my own bed, but I wasn't alone. Ethan was asleep next to me, fully clothed, his arm thrown protectively over my waist. Memories of the night flooded back. The making out on the couch. The talking until 3 a.m. The confession that he'd been jealous of every guy I'd ever dated. The way he had carried me upstairs because I was falling asleep, then stayed because I asked him not to leave. I watched him sleep. His lashes were long, his face relaxed. He looked younger, less guarded. He stirred, his eyes crinkling before opening. He blinked, focused on me, and a lazy smile spread across his face. Morning, he rasped. Morning. I felt shy suddenly. Regrets? He asked, searching my eyes. No, I said quickly. You. Only that I waited this long. He reached out, brushing a stray hair behind my ear. So are we doing this? You and me? I think my parents will have a heart attack, I said nervously. Your mom has been trying to set us up since you were 12, Ethan deadpanned. She'll probably throw a parade. I laughed, burying my face in his chest. Okay, we're doing this. A month later, my art exhibition opened. The gallery was crowded. I was nervous, standing by my main piece, a large, abstract oil painting of a storm with a single, steady light source. It's magnificent. I turned. Ethan stood there. He was wearing a dark navy suit that fit him perfectly. He looked devastatingly handsome. You made it, I smiled. Wouldn't miss it. He handed me a bouquet of lilies. Subtle, right? Very. He placed a hand on the small of my back, a possessive, comforting gesture. Ready to go? Your parents are over by the buffet, and I think your dad is telling everyone I'm his son-in-law already. Oh God, I groaned. Let him talk, Ethan grinned, leaning down to whisper in my ear. He's not wrong. Eventually. My breath hitched. Is that a proposal, doctor? It's a prognosis, he teased. I'm very good at my job. 3 years later, I was rummaging through the back of the closet, looking for an old sketchbook. Honey, have you seen my blue tie? Ethan called from the bedroom. Check the laundry. I yelled back. My hand brushed against a small box tucked in the corner. Curious, I pulled it out. Inside was the old pink massage stick. I stared at it, a wave of nostalgia and amusement washing over me. It felt like a relic from a different life. Ethan walked into the closet, buttoning his shirt. He saw what I was holding and stopped. A slow, knowing smirk spread across his face. Found an old friend? He asked, leaning against the doorframe. A mirror image of that day in his study, but now, the ring on his finger glinted in the light. I laughed, tossing the object back into the box and closing the lid. Just decluttering. I don't need it anymore. Ethan walked over, wrapping his arms around me from behind and resting his chin on my shoulder. Oh, cured. Permanently, I said, turning in his arms to kiss him. Good, he murmured against my lips. Because I have a lifetime of manual therapy scheduled for you. I smiled, deepening the kiss. The embarrassment of the past had faded, replaced by the warmth of a love that had grown from awkward silence to thunderous passion. And to think it all started with a lack of privacy and a vibrating toy. Life, I decided, had a very strange sense of humor, but I wouldn't have it any other way.